What's the stupidest way you've injured yourself? Once, I banged my arm on a table. It was so deep I had to go to the ER and get stitches. Only made that mistake once. I now have a permanent scar because table did the same. While doing the dishes once, I was cleaning a kitchen knife, which were very dull because I lived in a student house, but I managed to overshoot the brush during my vigorous scrubbing, slamming the knife into my knuckle. Decided to go to the hospital because I could see my metal carpal bone when I was playing with the loose skin flap. The nurse was very impressed. Damn, you could see your bone. I didn't even look at the wound that much because it was gross. I've told this story before, but here's once more. I was sleeping one afternoon and all my weight had fallen on my arm. As a result, my arm fell asleep too and got dead numb. The phone started ringing and the sound somehow blended in my dream, causing me to dream about a fire alarm going off. I got panicked in my sleep and that panic continued when I realized that the ringing wasn't just in my dream. It was happening for real. So I popped up, sleepy and confused, and started running towards the source of the noise. Comically enough, my arm was so numb that it was beyond my control and was flailing randomly by my side, crashing onto nearby walls and furniture as I was running towards the sound. It was like running with a jelly-like arm. Think what happened to Harry Potter in HP and the Chamber of Secrets when Lockhart deboned his arm accidentally. Anyway, I don't know which of the billion crashes and bumps was the one that did the job, but that's how I dislocated my pinky. It was a good hit and my finger stood at a really weird angle afterwards, so I had to go to the doctor to put it back in its place. Hurt like a witch too. When I was young, I could jump off the roof and shrug it off. Now if I sleep funny, I wake up paralyzed. Getting old sucks. I was cutting a wire tie off a couch a month ago and stabbed myself in the wrist with a steak knife. Got a tetanus shot after that one. I swear the TT shot hurts more than the injury itself. It's actually a DTaP shot now. You get a diphtheria and whooping cough vaccine for free because it's logistically simpler since most is given to young kids. Harlot need all th. Trying to clean the facial hair out of my razor, I sliced one of my fingertips slightly open. Less than a second later, and irritated with blood dripping onto the sink, I quickly attempted to clean the rest of the razor exactly the same way with my next finger, resulting in another slight slicing. In my defense, it was very early in the morning and I wasn't yet a coffee drinker at that point in my life. When I first learned to shave, I put a piece of TP over the blades and vigorously wiped back and forth. Slightly open isn't how I'd describe the cuts on my thumb. Put a knife into a slingshot to shoot my buddy in the ass. Believe it or not, there was no L-will involved. The idea popped into my head and my 14-year-old brain thought, holy shit, that sounds hilarious. Fortunately, the knife slipped and completely opened up the space between my thumb and forefinger. Internal stitches, external stitches and a thing that held my hand in place for a while. I felt dumb. It hurt badly, but at the end of the day I'm so happy I hurt myself instead of doing some serious damage to someone else because I wasn't thinking things through. Man, my hide would have been tanned. Ran full speed into a pole balls first. It wasn't easy explaining it to my mom. Hospole was it, and why was your mom watching? Fell off my bed and broke my ankle. My girlfriend tripped on a blanket getting out of bed and fell on the legs of a computer chair and broke 3 ribs. Once me and my boyfriend were play fighting on my bed. He turned over and let rip the loudest fart right on me, causing me to jump back in such shock that I elbowed the corner of my desk with such force I had to go to the accident and emergency for an x-ray. I'm laughing about it now, but it honestly hurt like a fucker. I thought I'd shattered every bone in my arm. I never told anyone that's how the injury happened either. I just told everyone something made me jump. My brother and his then girlfriend / now wife were play wrestling on their bed. He went for a DDT and didn't realize how close they were to the headboard. Broke something in her neck / spine. She went to the hospital and got it checked out. She had to wear a brace and take some medicine for a bit, but it healed just fine. Went up for a rebound. No one around me. Came down onto shade. Sprained my ankle. Long story short, I jumped Same thing happened to me, except I was trying to catch a frisbee. I've reduced range of motion in that ankle, and I can't do a proper squat because of it. I put 2 mattresses down on my stairs to turn into a slide. There was a radiator at the bottom of the stair which I failed to cover with a blanket or put a pillow in front of it because I was a stupid child. I slid down the stair a good few times, getting more confident with each turn. The last time I slid down it, I went a bit too fast and my foot ended up going up in the air. My foot hit the radiator and I ended up with 3 broken toes and a trip to the hospital. The first few weeks of boot camp I was still learning to shave properly. I turned 18 while I was there and only had a bit of chin fluff. My face wasn't used to daily shaving, and I started getting this really itchy, dry, crusty skin around my chin. We'd also been issued ultra fine grained sandpaper for polishing the brass parts of our ceremonial uniforms. I had the bright idea to smooth my face out with it one morning, which actually worked really well. Took the dry itchy skin right off and a few layers underneath, which didn't hurt at the time, but stung like hell about 30 minutes later during a dress inspection, and was apparently really visible because the parts I'd polished were swollen, red, and slightly bleeding. The drill staff were, in a way, impressed since no one else had sandpapered their own face before, so I guess I hold some sort of record in that regard. I was taping something up in my bedroom with duct tape. I don't remember what it was. I was using a steak knife to cut the tape, but I was having a hard time with it because 2 hands plus roll of tape plus strips of tape plus knife equals ? So I did what any sane person would do. I jammed the knife into the side of a cardboard box, blade pointing outward, so I could easily cut the tape. I did this while telling myself this is stupid, but I'll be careful and move the knife before I cut myself. The microwave with my precious little pizza rolls had beeped, and I went to get them. Good damn it, what was that on my shoulder? JPG. I walked past the knife and had caught my shoulder on it, resulting in me needing a number of stitches over 10. I was studying in an awkward position on my stomach for an hour or 2, and I strained my lower back to the point where it was extremely uncomfortable unless it was in a certain position. That was fun telling my coach the next day I couldn't do any exercises. I destroyed my back putting on socks one morning. I couldn't move without spasms for over a week. To be fair, I had done a lot of snow blowing and shoveling in the prior days, but the socks were the last straw for my back, apparently. I was maybe 10 and pulling weeds with a thing that looked like a forked screwdriver. Basically you'd shove it in the root and pull up. One especially pesky weed wouldn't let go, so I pulled upwards with all my little might. It let go, and I stabbed myself in the face right beside my eyeball. Luckily it just missed by I had a decent gash. I was late for work, rushing around and getting changed. I was pulling my socks on whilst standing up because I'm a moron and thought that would be faster. Lost my balance, hopped a couple of times before falling into the nearest wall. I had to explain this to a doctor and a nurse while they popped my dislocated shoulder back in place. So my son wanted me to open his ice cream bar. You know, the good humor ones on the stick. I was standing next to the kitchen table. I dropped the ice cream, and when I moved my hands down to catch it, I hit the top corner of the chair with my wrist. Broke 2 bones in my wrist and spent weeks in a cast. I caught the ice cream though. Bent down to pick up something I had dropped and ended up hitting my head on the metal frame of a chair and splitting my eyebrow mayo. Played W. How lot can get their hand closer to the burr. Nah, no one ever said you couldn't touch it, so I won. 1. Had the most excruciating circular blisters in the shape of a stove burner for a week or 2. 2. I went to slide on my stomach on a hardwood floor, smashed my chin on the ground and split it wide open. I was completely sober when it happened too, just bored. Instead of turning on the light, I walked to the bathroom in the middle of the night with all the lights off and ran into the door. Not me, but my brother. Him and his friend were playing FIFA and both are very competitive. It got to the 89th minute and the score was 1-1. My brother scored a last minute winner and jumped up to celebrate. He landed awkwardly and ended up snapping his ankle. It's still the only time I've witnessed someone injure themselves whilst playing a computer game. Perforated my tongue being too yo by falling face first of a couch. Didn't had all my teeth. My dad was bowling once. On his backswing, the ball slipped out of his grip. Happens to everyone. Harlot bowls regular. RLY. Instead of letting it fall, he whipped around and tried to catch it. Instead, he got a broken finger. Was the 16-pound ball came smashing down on his hand, and I stabbed an X-Acto knife blade all the way into my palm while opening a new pair of boxing gloves. I knew right away what I did. The worst part was having to clean up the obscene amounts of blood I got all over the place. I fell about 15 feet off a balcony while in university and trying to hit on a girl. Was very drunk and didn't realize how thin the railing was. Got out and over I go. Got my arm caught in the bars on the way down. Messed up my shoulder and landed on my hands and face. Broke or sprained all of my fingers. Not a good night for this guy. I was playing hide and seek with my then 7-year-old niece. She's 8 now, so it wasn't that long ago. But still, and she hid under me stepdad's desk and there's a hole in the front of it. So I decided to slide on the carpet, but only afterwards did I realize that there was a carpet that's nailed down. So in short, it slit my knee open a couple inches, and I still have the scar, which was obviously reduced. I was pretending to be a chicken and someone opened a door into my face. You know the big pseudo rectangular holes they have at some car washes? So when I was around 13 I was running around for some reason. That too when it was totally dark. And all of a sudden the ground under me vanished, and I fell down the hole. I came back up alright, and I couldn't feel any injuries on me. About 10 minutes later, when we were finally back at a place where we could see, did my friend realize that my eye had swollen to the size of an egg and was bluish. I never felt any pain though. It was just ugly and embarrassing. I got to skip school for a week, so that's a win I guess. Depends on what you mean by stupidest. If we are looking at an injury resulting from doing something stupid, then there was the time I got a corneal ulcer because I wore contacts at work. We were sandblasting. I knew it was stupid before I did it. But have you ever tried the overglasses safety glasses? They're a pain in the ass and the bridge of the nose and behind the ears. I had to sit in a pitch black room for days. Even the light from the TV on the dimmest setting was excruciating, dropping liquid fire into my eye at regular intervals. If we are going for how the fudge did that even happen? Stupid. I once sneezed and, I'm pretty sure, pulled a muscle in my neck. No idea how it happened, but it happened and it hurt like a bitch. One day before my piano recital, I watched a Rusty Cage video. He was flipping the knife, and I thought to myself, I bet I could to that. And then the knife hit my foot, which was wearing the minimal protection sandals. The hole in my foot is still there slightly. I was sitting in a room at work that had one of those metal craftsman toolboxes. That top was level with the table I was filling out paperwork on. I was taking a break and put my chin in my hand to prop myself up. And I guess I almost passed out because my hand slipped and I hit my head on the edge of the toolbox, and now I have a check mark scar by my eyebrow. Got a pretty serious concussion at wrestling camp by beating my head against the mat. To make things worse, I didn't realize I had a head injury and continued wrestling for the rest of the week. I was angry and tried to lighten up by goofing off. Goofing off included running with one of the large trash cans you leave on the side of the street. The lid was open. I stepped on the lid while running since I was pushing it at an angle. Broke my nose while my glasses cut my cheek hard enough that I still have a small scar. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.